All right, everybody, what is going on? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well today. And we're moving on to yet another Seattle Seahawks rookie here. We're on to the third round now. You guys know his name, probably. I imagine if you're on this channel, you probably do. This was my favorite pick of the draft for the Seahawks. This was, I think, the best combination of need, fit, and value. You had all three things going here really well in my mind with Julian Neal of Arkansas, or at least for 1 year Arkansas. He was at Fresno State before then. But Julian Neal, he's going to be the subject of our videos today. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. And Julian Neal is a cornerback. And I think that while this may take a little bit of time, ultimately, Julian Neal is going to be a great fit for this defense under Mike Macdonald. And I think that there's a lot that he can bring to the table here that is going to make us forget about somebody like Arik Woolen. As good as Woolen was, and as much as Woolen is better in some areas than Neal will probably ever be, Neal also does some things a lot better than Woolen will ever be able to do. So let's get into it a little bit here. He spent the first several years of his college career at Fresno State. Then he transferred to Stanford. But before the Stanford season started, he retransferred to Arkansas, I believe. Not 100% sure exactly how the timing worked, but he decided to go to Arkansas instead and never actually played at Stanford. 23 years old when the season starts. So normal age roughly for a college player in the third round, I'd say. He is 6'2". He's a little bit shorter than that, but he's right around 6'2", 92nd percentile, so very tall. He's heavier than the average corner, 203 pounds, 87th percentile. Arms, 32 and 3/4, 89th percentile. So he's tall, he's heavy, he's long. He even has big hands. 9.5-inch hands is 76th percentile. So right away, you get a pretty good idea of what you're dealing with Julian Neal. He's one of these bigger corners. He's the kind of corner that Pete Carroll might have really been intrigued by a few years ago when he was the Seahawks head coach. And I think that Macdonald does see some of the same things, but he also may be looking at things a little bit differently than Carroll would have as well. But either way, Julian Neal is that kind of player, I think. Ran a 4.4940, 48th percentile, which is obviously not good, but it's actually really good when you consider how big he is. A 203-pound corner running a sub 4.5 is actually really good. Now, the 1.59 10-yard split is rough. That's 26th percentile. But even then, it's kind of what you would expect for a guy of this size. It's not out of bounds. Like, when you are a corner that is this big and this lanky and this long, there should be some trade-off most of the time. Now, there wasn't really one with Woolen, but the point I'm trying to make is that Julian Neal is not anything egregious here. And he's extremely explosive. So even if he's not fast, the 40-inch vert and the 11-foot 2-inch broad does speak to a really good athlete. And that explosiveness allows him to make up for some of his deficiencies. Now, you do see here that he's got a very slow 3-cone, 16th percentile, and a below-average 20-yard shuttle, 41st percentile, which tells you that his movement skills are not everything you would want them to be. But again, for a bigger player, that's kind of what you would typically expect. So I wouldn't be alarmed by that. Just be aware of what you're dealing with here and make sure you're using him properly. And that's what this conversation is going to largely be about. So let's get into it a little bit more. If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the Prize Picks app, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball. We got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like. Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far, so definitely get on over to it, check it out, and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about team picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. Now, he was on Fresno State in 2021, but he did not play on defense at all. He played 0 snaps defensively, so I did not list that here. 2022, he did play, but he played very, very little. 3 games, 11 total snaps, 1 pass defensed, which is actually pretty good given how little he played. He was targeted once, had a grade a rating when targeted of 39.6, which, I mean, because it was an incomplete pass. 6 of his snaps were played as a free safety, and 5 of them were played as a box safety. So this year, when they used him, and obviously they used him very little, it was actually as a safety. All of his snaps came in coverage. So without looking it up to be sure, I'm guessing it was all garbage time when the other team was way down and just trying to throw the ball a bunch to come back. He did not grade well at all, but it's so insignificant, it's not even really worth talking about that much. And then 2023, he started to play a little bit more. He played in 11 games, but only averaged about 10 snaps a game total. So it was still very sporadic. 9 tackles, 1.5 for loss, which is actually quite good for a player like him, a corner. 3 stops, so he was actually a really productive tackler. His tackles were good and credible. Had 1 pass defensed, 1 quarterback hurry, and he missed 2 tackles. So not really much of a player at this point yet, but it's coming along here. He was targeted 6 times in coverage, gave up 3 catches for 25 yards. 2 of those yards were after the catch. And also did give up the 1 touchdown, so a 100.7 rating, not great. But again, very small sample size. Mostly played as an outside corner, but also got 15 snaps as a box safety and 2 as a slot corner. You're seeing a little bit of variety here, and that may come into play down the line. 63 snaps in coverage, 50 defending the run, and 3 as a pass rusher. So decent variety. Graded out pretty well on PFF, 69.1. Good coverage grade, good run defense grade, good tackling grade. Not so good pass rush grade, but again, we're not dealing with a full sample yet until we get to 2024. So 2024, this was his final year at Fresno State. Now we've got something. 12 games, 550 snaps. So now he's playing, 45 snaps a game or so? 45, 46. 35 tackles. So now he's actually playing pretty much full time. 5 of those tackles went for a loss. 9 of them were stops. So that's actually good for a corner, like I said. And at this point, he's mostly a corner, but not entirely. 2 interceptions, 9 interception return yards, 6 passes defense. So we're starting to see some ball skills. 1 sack as well, and 1 quarterback hurry. So there's stuff going on here as a pass rusher. It's not bad. 7 missed tackles, not great, right? That's 1 missed tackle for every 5 actual tackles. 4 penalties, actually pretty reasonable given how much he's playing. Better than Bud Clark, I will say that. Coverage numbers are great though. 50 targets, 24 catches, so less than 50%, 277 yards. So that's barely, 5.5 yards per target? I can live with 5.5 yards per target from a guy mostly playing outside. 87 of those yards are after the catch, though, so a lot of those plays are kind of more down the field. Did allow 1 touchdown. 55.2 QB rating when targeted. That's really good for him. Played 480 snaps on the outside, 52 in the box, 11 in the slot, and 6 on the defensive line. So there's a little variety, but it's pretty clear what he's here to do. 6 of his snaps on the DL outside, which basically means lined up as an edge rusher. 330 coverage snaps, 212 run defense snaps, so mostly coverage, and 6 pass rush snaps. So I'd say that this is a pretty good sample size to work with here, and the performance was good. 70.3 PFF, good coverage grade, really good run defense grade, okay tackling grade. The missed tackles do add up a little bit. Pass rush grade, good. Not that we're going to read too much into 6 snaps. Okay. 2025 was the big breakout year, and this was the year he played at Arkansas, which is more credible than Fresno State. So some things are going to get better, some things are going to get worse. But remember, the level of competition he faced went up pretty significantly. So 12 games, 771 snaps. So now he's actually playing close to what, 65 snaps a game. So we're getting the full Julian Neal experience now. 55 tackles, really good. 2 tackles for loss, 11 stops. So really high rate of his tackles are considered productive for an outside corner, by the way. Maybe not quite as good as the previous year, but that's still good for an outside corner, man. Remember, outside corners, a lot of the tackles they make in theory should be down the field. 2 interceptions, 34 return yards, 10 passes defensed. So ball skills are evolving. 3 quarterback hurries. Missed 4 tackles. That's really good. He's not missing very many tackles at all. 4 missed tackles is great for a guy with 55 total. And 4 penalties, which I'm totally willing to live with that from a cornerback who plays this physically. Now, will that hold in the NFL? He's going to probably have to adjust his game a little bit, but so be it. 48 targets, 27 catches, 346 yards, so he is a little bit less effective in coverage. Little bit. Now he's up to like over 7 yards per target, but remember, the level of competition went up. It's somewhat understandable. And I will say a lot of the yards he gives up are air yards, not yak. He doesn't give up a ton of yak. It's like a little more than a third, but it's understandable to me. 3 touchdowns, 82.5 rating. Given that it was his first year at Arkansas and he only had like a partial year as a full-time starter at Fresno State, I don't think there's anything egregious there. And again, mostly playing as an outside corner, almost 700 snaps outside, but 63 box, 15 slot, 6 defensive line snaps as an edge rusher. So you do have a little bit of flexibility here. Some people think that he could be a safety. Some people think he can do a little bit in the slot. I don't know about that. And you can see an almost even split of coverage snaps to run defense snaps because he's playing for Arkansas now. And, of course, also the 6 pass rush snaps, I guess. And he's graded really well, man. I mean, the upgrade in level of competition did not cramp his game. Almost an 80 grade overall, 76.5 coverage, elite run defense grade, elite tackling grade, and a really strong pass rush grade. Not that it's a big sample, but he's really rounded into a really great all-around player now for Arkansas. So his totals as a collegiate player, they're not super high because he only became a full-time starter last year, and then he became a most of the time starter the previous year. Excuse me. 42 games, under 1,500 snaps, 99 tackles, 8.5 for loss, 23 stops. So that's about a quarter of his tackles or stops, which is, I think, really good. 4 picks, 43 return yards, 18 passes defensed on about 105 targets, by the way. 1 sack, 5 quarterback hurries, 13 missed tackles, most of which came early, and 8 penalties. And I actually think 8 penalties, given how much he played and how he plays, is a good indicator, even if he'll have to clean it up more in the pros. In coverage, he got targeted 105 times, 54 catches, and 648 yards, so workable. Some years better than others. Not amazing, but perfectly fine. Little more than 6 yards per target is fine by me. 216 of those yards were yak, so not a lot of it. Did allow 5 touchdowns, but 70.7 QB rating when targeted is something that you can be proud of. And while he did play almost 1,300 snaps as an outside corner, he also played 135 as a box safety, which tells me that there is some potential here to play safety reps, and maybe that even ends up where he ends up. Who knows? 28 slot reps, 12 on the defensive line, all of them as an edge, and 6 free safety snaps. More coverage than run D, but plenty of both. 15 pass rush snaps. So those are the numbers. Those are the Julian Neal numbers here. He's putting up digits. There's some really cool stuff here, really promising stuff here. Yeah, that is basically all I can say here. So that's part 1. We'll get to part 2 later, maybe afternoon, maybe early afternoon. I don't know. But yeah, Julian Neal, let me know what you guys think about this. Good start, but he didn't play a ton in college, actually, so we're still kind of learning about him. But for me, that's a good thing because it means he can get a lot better, and we have the time for him to get better because we don't need him immediately. All right, go Hawks. See you guys soon.